Donald Trump recibió una dura sacudida. El senador Bernie Sanders tuvo un gran problema en Asheville, Carolina del Norte. Todo esto ante una multitud abarrotada que hizo temblar todo el recinto. Y un discurso increíble como parte de su gira, la lucha contra la oligarquía. Esto pasó por varias zonas y lugares donde votaron por Donald Trump y explicaron por qué le quieren poner fin a la oligarquía. Y cómo esto está afectando directamente a todo Estados Unidos. La multitud en Asheville estaba totalmente encendida. Mira cómo el senador Bernie Sanders se subió a la tarima y habló con la multitud en Asheville. Mira el clip, por favor.
Let's welcome him to the podium because it's time to rise, to rise, to rise. To the people, to the people.
Aquí el senador Bernie Sanders, como siempre, nos dejó un discurso muy poderoso. Denunció al farsante, al criminal que es Donald Trump. Y Donald Trump no se anduvo con rodeos. Mira este hermoso momento dentro de Asheville. Mira el clip, por favor.
And Donald Trump comes into office and I am the champion of the working class. I just love workers. Well, this guy is not only a pathological liar, he is a fraud of the worst kind. When Trump campaigned for president, I don't recall him telling his supporters that he was going to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%. $900 billion in tax breaks to large corporations. I don't recall Trump telling his supporters that he was going to throw 15 million people, including many hundreds of thousands here in North Carolina, off of the health care that they have. And let us be clear, and this is not just me talking, there have been studies about this. When you throw 15 million low-income and working-class people off of the health care they have, when you cut back on the Affordable Care Act and force premiums to go up all over this country, do you know what happens? People die. That is the simple truth. And there have been studies out there, and I feel uncomfortable telling you this because it's so horrible, but it's true. There have been studies out there, Yale, the University of Pennsylvania, suggesting that when 15 million people lose their health insurance, when costs go up, 50,000 Americans a year will die unnecessarily. Thank you, Donald Trump. Trump did not campaign on taking free school meals for up to 16 million kids away from them. He did not campaign on doubling or tripling monthly student loan payments for millions of Americans who are already drowning in debt. But it's not just his big, beautiful bill. Trump did not tell his supporters that he was going to shut down Social Security field offices all over America, making it harder for the elderly and the disabled to get the benefits that they have paid for. He did not tell the veterans of this country who put their lives on the line to defend us that he was going to throw 83,000 employees in the VA out of their jobs, which means worse health care for our veterans. He didn't tell the American people that he was going to impose a $50 billion a year voucher program on America, which will go a long way to destroy public education in America. He didn't tell the American people that they were going to have to pay substantially higher prices because of his absurd tariff policies. In other words, what Trump has done is made a very bad situation worse. And I want to say, though, it's not just domestic policy. that we have got to be concerned about. I am proud to tell you that I have led the effort in the United States Senate to end the funding of the Netanyahu war machine in Gaza. It is not acceptable to me or the overwhelming majority of Americans, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or independent, that in Gaza right now, 60,000 people have been killed, mostly women, children, and the elderly. 140,000 have been wounded, mostly women, children, and the elderly. Entire infrastructure, schools, healthcare systems, wastewater plants, water plants have been destroyed. And now, with U.S. taxpayer money, children are being starved to death. Not acceptable. We've got to change that.
Otro momento increíble del senador Bernie Sanders. Míralo por favor.
If we stand together and do not allow Trump and his minions to divide us up based on the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation or our religion. If we stand together, we can defeat oligarchy, we can defeat authoritarianism, and we can create a nation and a government that works for all.
Sí, este discurso no para de mejorar dentro de Asheville. Mira esto, por favor.
But what else is going on in America? Well, we got two worlds. One, billionaires doing great. The other one, middle class, working class, low income people, so good. Today, in the richest country, again, this is almost unimaginable. In the richest country in the history of the world, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. Anybody here living paycheck to paycheck? Yeah. I grew up in a family living paycheck to paycheck. Anybody here dealing with stress every day, trying to feed your families, pay your medical bills, pay for your housing? Well, tens of millions of people are in exactly that same position. Today in America, again, the richest country in the history of the world, we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. Millions of Americans can't find affordable housing. Our educational system, from child care to college, is much too expensive and much too inadequate. Our healthcare system is completely broken. We got 85 million Americans who are uninsured or underinsured. In America today, half of older workers, people who've worked their whole lives, have nothing in the bank as they face retirement. 22% of seniors are somehow, I don't know how, trying to survive on $15,000 a year or less. We have, again, as the richest nation on earth, the lowest life expectancy of any major country on earth. You all know that? We live on average about 4 years shorter lives than people in other wealthy countries. But here is what you don't know. And that is that if you are working class in America, you're going to live 7 years shorter life than wealthy people. Why is that? Why? Stress. Stress. Now, stress is the word. I held a hearing a couple of years ago, and we talked about poverty as a death sentence. You all know what I'm talking about? What it means is if you are working class in America today, and you wake up in the morning and you say, how am I going to feed my kids? Is the landlord going to raise the rent? And if he does, how am I going to pay it? Where am I going to go? Because there's no affordable housing in the community. What happens if my mom gets sick and needs prescription drugs that she can't afford? Or my kid gets sick? What happens if my car breaks down and I can't afford the $1,000 bill the mechanic tells me it's going to cost. And if I can't get my car fixed, I can't get to work. And if I can't get to work, I'm going to lose my job. And if I'm going to lose my job, what happens to my family? There are millions of Americans who are living that nightmare right now. And in the richest country on earth, that is totally wrong and unnecessary. But it's not only what's going on now. You know, when you see people in America angry and disgruntled, there is a reason why. And one of the reasons is that over the last 50 years, as you all know, there has been an explosion in technology, right? Every worker in America is far more productive, producing a lot more than that worker did 50 years ago. Now, one might think that with all of that increase in worker productivity, workers would be making more money, right? Wrong. Because over the last 50 years, real inflation accounted weekly wages for the American worker have gone down. There was a study that the Rand Corporation did, and it said that during that same period of time, there was a $75 trillion redistribution of wealth going from the bottom 90%, you all, to the top 1%. So here we are right now. In terms of basic necessities of life, the housing system, broken. Educational system, in terms of childcare, in terms of kids being able to afford to go to college, in terms of the pressure on public schools all over America, in deep trouble. Wages in deep trouble. Workers are going nowhere in a hurry. Housing, a disaster. People spending half of their incomes on housing, 20 million households, 800,000 people in America who are homeless.
Y finalmente el senador Bernie Sanders cerró con una nota muy poderosa. Y verás cómo la multitud en Asheville le da una ovación de pie al senador. Esto sigue a sus paradas en Virginia Occidental. Mira el clip, por favor.
The good news is that throughout our history, in very, very dark and difficult times, the American people came together, led by working class people, came together to take on incredible power and corruption, and they won. They did it then, we can do it now. In the middle of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln went to Gettysburg a few days after that battle where tens of thousands of soldiers died trying to end slavery in America. And he looked out onto the field and he said that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Trump and his friends believe in a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, and for the billionaire class. And that is not what millions of Americans fought and sometimes died for. So brothers and sisters, in this difficult moment in American history, in this unprecedented moment, we have got to respond in an unprecedented way. We need you. You can't sit it out. Sorry, I know it's tempting. You can't put your head over your covers over your head. We need you to join us in the struggle. Now, I don't have a PhD in mathematics, but I do know that 99% is a hell of a bigger number than 1%. Brothers and sisters, let's go forward. Let's take on these oligarchs. Let's beat them. Thank you very much.
Ahí lo tienen, amigos. Me encantaría que me dejen en los comentarios lo que piensan al respecto. En lo personal, Bernie Sanders es una persona muy inteligente, capaz y con una oratoria increíble. La verdad, muchas veces se me pone la piel chinita cuando él habla. Es alguien que sabe hablar, que sabe lo que dice, habla con coherencia, tiene un sentido de la oratoria muy buena. Y claro, no se deja intimidar por Donald Trump, eso es algo también espectacular. Pero bueno, yo cumplí con mi misión, que es informarte como lo hago absolutamente todos los días. Como tú ya sabes, para mí lo más importante es tu opinión y me encantaría que la pongas en los comentarios. Está de más repetírtelo, pero si te gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, te va a encantar suscribirte al canal, ya que subo videos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido con informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.